Hello, and welcome back to Foos Entertainment for my review of 2025's Sinners from Warner Brothers Pictures. I will be talking about the plot of the film, the Rose opinion of the film, my opinion of the film, and go ahead and get the film ranking, because there's not really any trivia to actually talk about when it comes to the movie, because there's no trivia to be had. All right. Top line: Sinners is a cinematic adrenaline rush of originality. I beg to differ on that, and I'll get that when it comes to my opinion. Terrifying to leave their troubled lives behind, two twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. You keep dancing with the devil, one day he's going to follow you home. All right. Girl's opinion. Almost everybody in their household pets are literally treating this vampire movie is like the greatest thing ever. I mean, quite literally, that's the vibe I'm getting from society. Is society likes this movie so much that they're just making it way overhyped and making it like the biggest thing. They think that it's much more than a vampire movie. They think that it's a political movie. They think that it's a liberation of the oppressed or something like that. I watched this movie twice. I watched it on HBO Max. Then I actually had a colleague of mine from work come over, and we watched it theatrically on my 100-inch projector screen, which is above me right there. And both times, I really don't at all see what everybody else is seeing, apparently, because and now going to my opinion, I do not think that this is one of the greatest horror films of all time. I do not think it's one of the best movies of all time. And one thing I can definitely tell you about this movie is not what it says with the punchline on the back. Sinners is a cinematic adrenaline rush of originality. Well, what it is the third time that a vampire movie has been made, going back to 1982, I believe, going up to 2024, where you take the basic premise of a group of friends or family members who go ahead and go to a club or a bar and have to deal with a good versus evil confrontation with vampirism. This is the third film to do that. So, not exactly an original idea. So I guess there is a little bit of trivia to talk about there, I guess, which kind of goes into my opinion. The very first time they made a movie like this was in the 1980s, early 1980s. The film was called Vamp. And the villain was played by Grace Jones. And she is probably the most iconically known for her villainous role is the main antagonist in the 1980s film Vamp. That film has a bit of what I would call satire comedy and very gothic classic movie, much like you would get with, like, say, 1979 Salem's Lot, for example. but a fun movie. Then you fast forward to 1996 with Robert Rodriguez's directed and Quentin Tarantino's written action slash vampire horror film, and probably out of these three films, the most iconic one to follow the premise that I just went over on the comparison to this, and that is Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn. And let's concentrate on that, and let's compare Robert Rodriguez's From Dusk Till Dawn to Sinners. And then you can kind of see what I'm talking about. You actually have the two main characters are somewhat criminals. And they're up to criminally negligent stuff. And for Dusk to Dawn, they go to Mexico to get away from authorities due to the fact of them being fugitives. And they go to a strip club, biker bar, to where the bartenders and the staff are vampires. And, well, all the customers are going to become their dinner, as it were. So you have that. That's From Dusk Till Dawn. Sinners, this one. You have our two main characters that are the owners of the bar club in this movie. Happens to be a jazz club. And it's all black people, of course, going on to that whole social wokeness thing, which I might add, I would be getting this film a lot of points. I'm probably getting a good ranking, so don't get mad about what I'm been saying up to this point. I will defend this movie too. And I have a little message to Hollywood about how to do things that they are trying to do and failing miserably at doing. Until this movie came out, because it did not fail miserably at doing it with this film. So I will get to that in like a couple of minutes. So they're the owners of the club, and the Caucasian individuals that want to get into the club are the vampires. And everybody that's going outside of the club disappears for a while and comes back. And eventually one of them gets into the club and starts, affecting people. And, yeah, very similar. You just changed a couple of things. But what you really changed is you changed the setting. You changed the backdrop of what it comes off of. I mean, this movie takes place in the 1930s. From Dusk Till Dawn takes place in the year that it came out, which is 1996. That's different. You change the circumstance of our main characters. That's different. And you change the overall chamber piece setting. The evil's trying to get into the isolated character of the story. While in For Dusk Till Dawn, you're having people that are trying to get out of the chamber character in the movie, isolated character in the film, and survive. So, in a lot of ways, it's the same movie. Let's be honest with you. But now let's go ahead and start defending Sinners. All right. Does Sinners have Black Lives Matter's themnology in it? Does it have social injustice themnology in it? Yes. But I'll tell you what it does, and does brilliantly, that every other woke horror film has failed miserably to do, whether it be the reboot of Candyman from 2021, or the grotesque, grotesque abomination known as Black Christmas from 2018. What this film does to those two films, fails to do, because it has all that in here, is that in those two other films, there's the social injustice, oppression themologies of those two films. That is what those two films are about. Is that the horror element, what the film should be about? That's in the background, and you have this social message, this political message in your face. This movie, Sinners, although it does have all that in it, does the opposite, which is a way you should be doing it. So this is to you, Hollywood. If you want to have social injustice being represented in your movies, do it like this one. I will repeat it again. If you want to put social injustice themologies and make political statements and do woke shit in your movies, do it like this one. Because this one did it right. And I'll tell you how. The whole racist stuff, the whole Ku Klux Klan subtext, all of the Black Lives Matter subtext, and all of that stuff that you think is important to be represented in your movies is so subtext. It's so subtext in this movie that you actually have to look for it. You actually have to pay attention to every little detail in this movie. You actually have to look for these more liberal social injustice stuff. You actually have to look for it, because it's not obviously there. It's there, but you have to look for it, because it's so much in the background that you actually have to pay attention to find it. Because the main center of attention in this movie is a chamber piece set vampire movie. That is what this movie is. That is what it's set out to be, and that is what it is doing. The whole white racist towards black people, plotting to kill black people in their club, all that stuff is in the background. It's completely in the background. It barely has any screen time. It's there. And eventually you see it, but it's done right. Okay, it's done the right way, to where you can have all that stuff that you want represented, but it's not in your face. It's in the background. Because I'll tell you right now, vampire fans like me, horror film fans like me, who review horror films, and I've been doing it for a long time, we don't go to a vampire movie to look at a representation of black slavery or white supremacy or anything like that. We don't go to movies like this to look at that. You want to have it in the movie? Fine, you can have it in the movie. But you gotta make a movie to where you're praying, you're claiming to your audience, your audience that has watched this movie are not really interested in the social agenda you want to put in the film. And the director of this film, I was going to say his name, but I wouldn't want to butcher his last name. The director of Black Panther and Creed, I might add, he did it right. He understood that. And you know what? He wanted to put all that social stuff into this movie, but he knew that he couldn't put it in your face. He knew that he had to put it somewhere in the background, way in the background, to where anybody who's looking for it can acknowledge that it's there. But he set out to make a fun vampire movie, and that is what this is. This is a fun vampire movie. That's why I'm going to defend this movie, because I already know there's a lot of people out there that think differently. All of you want to think like that? You can think like that all you want. You can have your own opinion. But me, being a movie critic, and I would dare to say, sometimes I think I am a pretty professional movie critic. Sometimes people think I'm not, but I'm always very fair when it comes to reviewing movies. I don't see this movie's woke boycotting attitude toward this film. All I see is a fun vampire movie that, on a Friday night after a long week of work, you want to, pour yourself a few cocktails or drink a few beers. You want to kick back and just watch a movie that kind of goes with the flow of doing that. This is a perfect freaking vampire movie to do that with. Now let's go ahead and give the film a ranking. This is going to piss off a lot of conservative people on this movie too. I'm giving this the full Monty. This is getting a 4-star ranking with me. Now, it's getting a 4-star ranking in a lot of ways for some very interesting reasons, and that's the highest score I give a movie is 4. I think this is a perfect movie because it does what so many films that are completely the opposite of perfect, but kind of go in the middle, depending on if they're enjoyable, or go into the dog shit poor ranking if they're not. And that's part of it right there. This does what Jordan Peele's produced Candyman movie couldn't do. This does what that social activist female director's abomination known as Black Christmas couldn't do, and so many other horror films. They're trying to do this whole social injustice crap, but this can't do it right because it's just annoying you and it's irritating you every time you watch it. That's a big reason right there to give it 4 stars, because it's a template for how you do it the right way. Another reason is I like the way the movie looks, and I also like the way that they put this out on physical media. This uses a very, very interesting widescreen format. It uses a 270 by 1 widescreen format, which is a very interesting CinemaScope frame, which I've only seen in one other movie, and that's The Hateful Eight. Now, The Hateful Eight, I'm not a fan of. It's probably the one Quentin Tarantino movie I actually despise. I like all the other Quentin Tarantino films, but I really don't like The Hateful Eight. I think it's boring. But it uses that, but it also lets you see the IMAX sequences that this film has, and there's quite a few of them. So it switches from CinemaScope 270 to a 1.78 IMAX presentation, which I think is freaking phenomenal. Another good reason is for that. And, those are my 2 reasons I'm going to give it right there. There's plenty of them, but this video is almost 20 minutes long already. I've been rambling on about it, but I really wanted to take time with this review because this was an important one. So, Sinners, have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Or do you want to watch it in its full great quality, which is in this format? Watch it in physical media, in 4K, or do you want to watch it on HBO Max? This is available on there. What do you think of it? If you've seen it, put a comment down below and tell me what you thought of it. If you haven't, Foos says, check Sinners out. And this has been my 4-star ranked review of 2025's Sinners. I'll see you guys on my next review, which is coming right up. I'll see you soon.